Well, a lot has changed in the last 6 months since we moved here, and so today I want to take you on a little homestead tour, show you what's new, including our little ducks here that we just got 2 days ago. And so follow me on the evening chores. We're going to put this little guy back where he doesn't get cold and show you everything that's new here on Boomer Homestead. So here we have our newest addition. We have 8 ducklings, 4 Khaki Campbells, and 4 Silver Appleyards, and they're as messy as ducks are. We joined them with 6, how many? I don't even know. 6 chicks, 8 chicks. That's the first batch of our layers. There's gonna be 23 more Brown Leghorns joining them soon, and 10 guinea fowl who are meant to be on tick patrol, because we have so many ticks here, it's not even funny. A tick a day keeps the doctor away, or the opposite, I don't know, but we definitely have a ton. That's our second batch of poultry this year, right? A second batch, because you got 8 chicks for your 4-H poultry project that we're gonna see here in a moment. But before, I want to introduce you to our 2 Thanksgiving stars, the Tom and little one, the hen. And they're a Thanksgiving leftover from 2 Thanksgiving ago, right? We kept you because you want to hump everybody, and we appreciate that. So they are our 2 friendly turkeys that have been around for a long time, and they're gonna be joined as well by 6 or 8, I don't even know the number, turkeys later this year, right? But some of them gonna go to the freezer, not you stay. They sleep all the way back over there on what Justin Rhodes coined a turkey shore. But they sleep out in the open. They're surrounded by electric fencing, obviously, at night, but during the day they can free roam, and they just like to stay close to us. Let's move on to our rabbits. Here it's the thing, we've had a lot of fun with rabbits over the years. Raised them, they provided food for us, for our dog, our Sherman Shepherd. But I think we're gonna phase those turkeys out, because we now have larger ruminants that provide more of the meat that we eat, including beef and pork. So rabbits are gonna be phased out, but for now, we have some selling up here. That mommy has been so busy. There are 2 litters in there right now, and 2 we just dispatched. That's Lucy. She is an incredible breeding dog. Ain't your little ones, huh? There are 16 rabbits in there right now. We have to separate the big ones out, and even the smaller ones already. They're almost old enough to go to the tractor and be on pasture, and then we're gonna give Lucy a break. Isn't it right? Isn't it right? So those are all rabbits. We still have, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, 19 rabbits, and 2 that are free-ranging. They escape, and they live on the neighbor's property. He doesn't like it, but they're feral. Rabbits. Our spa area, we have a separate clip on that if you're interested in what we have here, but this is where we coat run your sauna bed. Obviously not everything is on at the same time. We right now use the sunlight amplifier back there, the hottest infrared sauna I've ever been in, and then the ice barrel over there, but plenty of opportunity to get your wellness in it, to recover from all the hard work that is homesteading. Moving on, here on the side we have a Saskovich mobile chicken tractor. We're gonna use this guy as a brooder, or as an intermediate step, I want to say. Once the birds are maybe 2-3 weeks old, already have some feathers, we're gonna move them from our brooder box here in there as well, so we can potentially give them access to pasture and have a little bit more room. So that's one thing that we have here. And here again we have the turkeys. You guys can't help it. All right, here we have Isabella's 4-H poultry project. Those are 8 buff Orpingtons, right, that are pretty much fattened out. They're only 4 weeks old, but they are in here in this intermediate area before they will join the larger flock, or maybe they're still here forever, I don't know. But we'll definitely move this guy around. For now, it's just a brooder, and they are super docile because she interacts with them every single day. Here we have our latest addition as far as mobile infrastructure is concerned, a Happy Farmer aluminum coop that we will use for the guinea fowl, so we can move them around. Right behind you here, actually right in front of me and behind the camera, is our nut tree area with hazelnuts and walnuts and pecans and all kinds of stuff. Not because we are nuts eaters, that because we like that stuff, and pollination, obviously. There is pig food and all of the good stuff. And let's skip the garden for now. Let's go down to the chicks and then to the pigs. But if you want to see what happened in the garden, stay until the end of the video, and we're gonna show you everything we've done in the garden. Here we have our 9 weaned piglets waiting for their food. We separated them a few days ago from the mamas over there, so they can stop producing milk and they start eating solid. So let's go over there and feed them. And those are all Idaho pasture pigs, so they consume a lot of stuff on pasture, meaning that they eat less food than regular pigs. They're also a little bit smaller in frame and easier to handle. I like that. They are not supposed to root that much, but they still turn stuff over, as you can see. And we rotate them every 10 days or so. I mean, we really look at the damage they do to the paddock, and then we rotate them and refill. We have the troughs that we can easily move, and the fences, are also easy to move. So, and the shelter, of course. And they're, how old are they? They're now 9 weeks old. Those two mummies we actually purchased pregnant already, so they're buried here on the property, obviously, because we're for Piglets. And she's a really good mom. She's a really good mom. We're gonna keep her. She only had 3. He had 9 piglets. No, 7 piglets and 3. So we're gonna put her in the freezer soon and replace her with a 4 to continue breeding her. And you can see the teats are still very full of milk because they just got separated. And so it was gonna take a little bit to, we were told to, get the milk out and hopefully not gonna get mastitis. And yeah, those are our pigs, pork, love it. And now we're gonna move over to the chickens. Now, one of the things that's super important obviously is water. We need water everywhere for the animals. And so we put in, I don't know how many, 12 or so water hydrants all over the property. And then we run garden hoses away from them. They're frost trees, so they're not gonna freeze in winter. And that was a little bit of an investment, but it's totally worth it, because now we have easy access to water everywhere. We're gonna have a separate video talking more about our water infrastructure, because I think that's very important, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, for now, let's move on to the chickens. Just wanted to show you this hydrant here real quick, because that feeds up directly to our chickens as well as to the pigs. As you can see here a little bit, there's a lot of yellow stuff. That's groom's edge, and that's an indication of poor soil quality, nutrient deficiency, and that's one of the reasons why we have our chickens here right now. We have this mower chicken tractor that has, I think it houses right now 30 or so layers, 3 roosters, and we strategically put it here. That's our cow pasture here. The cows moved through here. We're gonna go to the cows later, but this is the poorest soil area that we have here, and so that's why the chickens are here. We move it every day or every other day. We really put a lot of nutrients back in the soil from the chicken manure to help the soil improve. One of the things, we have a separate review on this guy, so you can learn more about why we use it and how we like it, etc. But one of the convenient things really is that we have access to the eggs from the outside. There is an egg hatch on the back, and it comes with the water bucket and everything is contained. Right now we actually have a broody hen in there, a Bielefelder, that has been sitting on those eggs for 8 days. So it's how many? 20 days in total? 21 days in total. So we have a ways to go a little, but there she is. She's been sitting diligently on those eggs, and so we are hoping that in how many more days? 8 minus 21 is 13 days. We're gonna have a couple of chicks hatch in there, and well, then we're hopefully gonna have more egg layer, unless you're on roosters again, like last time we incubated.
How is she eating?
She comes out to eat, she comes out to drink, she comes out to poop, but then she goes right back. So she spends very little time not on the eggs, because they have to maintain a certain temperature, and that work it out. A very boring life right now she has. All right, let's walk to our cows next, and I'm gonna feed them some alfalfa pellets, mostly because one is pregnant, about to calf, and I want to boost her nutrient intake a little bit, because I know that our pasture is not where I would like it to be in a couple of years, and they get used to me bringing goodies, so they come towards me instead of running away from me. And so those are the reasons why we bring them some alfalfa. This is our cow pasture, by the way. We have 3 different areas where we rotate the cows. They're in area 3 right now, and you can see in the background maybe they're already coming. They already know what's going on. She's already coming, and in 2 days we're actually gonna move them to area 2 and then back to area 1. So we have in total probably 45 to 65 days, depending on growth, etc., of paddocks. So they only come back every 2+ months to the same area, and that significantly reduces parasites and improves soil quality. So let's walk up. We have a separate video, by the way, on coming up on why and how we rotate, so check that out. But for now, let's just walk over and feed our mama cow. She is gonna calve in the next 2 weeks or so. I don't know exactly when, but soon, right? We're gonna have cow number 7 here on the property, and we started actually out with those Black Angus. As you probably know, right now beef price or cattle prices are ridiculously high, so the only ones we could find were those 4 Black Angus. We're happy with them, but then we switched over to Southpaw. I like them definitely better. They're more docile. That's the closest that Black Angus has ever come to me, and she's already backing off, as you can see. They are just super gentle and docile and more heat resistant, and she's a yearling. They're all heifers, and so All right. I'll give it. Come to Liar, so we're gonna turn in the bowl and see if we can get, well, her and her bred. And they're probably still too young, but we'll see, even though they're already bigger than the yearling here. But we're gonna try to get as many as possible bred, safely that is, of course. And in upcoming video, we're gonna talk a little bit more about water. I've mentioned this, we use this K-line water trough over here that is mobile. We can easily move it. It's not, especially when it's empty, and you can easily tip it over. And then back there we have a mobile mineral feeder, and we also have a mobile shade structure that we predominantly purchased for our Black Angus, because black skin, Georgia summers are not very much compatible. It's one of the downsides of this Black Angus. And so we have the shade structure. We talk about all of this in upcoming videos to share a little bit more about, how we do it, why we do it. Not that we have everything figured out, I'm sure we don't, but at least what we've done so far, and then what's been working, what's not still working. I'm really looking forward to your cat. And you? Oh, you touched me. Those were our cows. That's really the bread and butter of our homestead now. And the reason, together with the pigs, why we're gonna discontinue the rabbits, because this is where the meat is. Get ready. All right, last animal stop, our bees, our small apiary here. We have a couple of pieces of content coming up why we're transitioning to horizontal hives. I really love them. They're like my south pole of the cattle or of the bee world. We got a couple of colonies going on here right now. 2 swarms that we trapped, 2 packages, and 1 old one that we brought over from the old property. And so I have high hopes with our beekeeping. We have switched over completely to natural beekeeping, doing something that's completely different to conventional beekeeping, much like most of what we do on the homestead is. It's the opposite of conventional agriculture and farming. But we really like those horizontal hives. There's more content coming up, so stay tuned for that. And before we're gonna wrap it up for today, there's the orchard over there that I want to take a quick peek at, see how our apple and pear and peach tree and plum trees are doing, anything that needs to be done. So maybe let's walk over there, and then we're gonna wrap up this tour. So let's go. Here are fig trees. They show no signs of life yet. I was told it's gonna take until end of May or so for them to break dormancy and start, well, showing that they're not dead. We'll see. Fingers crossed that they're actually gonna start leafing out. And here we have a couple of apple trees. There was already 1 apple on those trees this year. We just planted them and they had already 1 apple, but Kathy picked them off so they can focus all of their growth, redirecting energy into the root system rather than in making fruits. So apple trees, we have pear trees. Over here we pruned them really hard. It's always tough for me, to just cut stuff, but we need to shape them into the right, well, shape so they get enough air and airflow and all of those good things. And here we have more pear trees. They all look really good so far, so fingers crossed that they're gonna produce maybe next year. And then we have a couple of peach trees over here that have a completely different style. They're more like an open vase kind of setup with those peaches, whereas the apple has like this central leader and the pears as well. So different pruning style. Not sure if we did everything right, but so far they seem to be doing reasonably well. And then here on the back we have a couple of almond trees, 3 actually, mostly for pollination. We don't really eat a whole lot of almonds, if any, but the bees like them, so we have them here. And then out here on the perimeter we have plum trees, and I'm really hopeful that next year they're gonna produce fruit and we can make apple cider and apple juice and do all the things that you can do with those fruits, eat them fresh. So that was it. That was all of this we've really punched out of the ground in the last 6 months. It's been super busy, super joyful as well. We really enjoyed doing all of that, but it's been a lot of hard work. There is more to come. We're getting turkeys, we're getting meat birds, we're getting more egg layers, we're getting guineas, we are getting a boar for our pig. We're gonna hopefully have a calf here soon. We're gonna get a bull. Well, we rent the bull in summer to breed all of our mama cows or future mama cows. And then next year we might be doing some goats and sheep, because as you can tell here, I mean, just walking through everything, it's just a whole lot of brush, and I don't really want to maintain all of that myself by mowing it or bush hogging it. A lot of that is good stuff because it's, it helps the bees. There is a lot of flowering bushes, there are a lot of blackberry brambles, which nobody likes, but the bees do, so we leave them there. But nonetheless, we're gonna run goats and probably also sheep through all of that to help clear some of that stuff up so we don't have to maintain as much. So, all right, now that we've seen the fruit or the orchard, let's go up to the garden to see what's happening on the vegetable side, and some fruits as well. So let's do it. Moving on to our garden. That's one thing we've put a lot of sweat and money into this year, trying to make it work, because we've never been good at gardening. I mean, we are meat eater, but we certainly appreciate some flavor, some medicinal purposes of plants, etc. So in here, what we have is we have our blueberries. They actually go beyond the fence. We just didn't ran out of fence, so that's why they are cut off. But here we have the ladder. There's a blueberry fish, a different varieties. Here is a then I planted some pole beans because we eat beans a lot, that we don't. But once a year for Costa Rica National Day, we make got your beans go, and that consists of rice and beans. We're not growing rice yet. We don't have rice paddies, but pole beans. We have sunflowers. We have weeds intermittently, it looks like, but these are all sunflowers, so they're gonna be cool. And I really like sunflowers. And over here we have peppers, regular peppers, bell peppers, jalapenos, and marigolds. Marigolds, why do we have marigolds?
They help pollination and deter pests.
They help pollination and deter pests. So we intersperse marigolds with our various peppers. We really like jalapenos. You know, it's obviously, it's a nightshade, not the healthiest food there is, but I really like the taste of jalapeno. Over here we have absolutely nothing. That's reserved for later this year, right? So it's weeds growing right now. And here we have calendula, and that is for Isabella's business, skincare business, medicinal salves and tinctures and all kinds of things. So she's growing her stuff here. So we get that dried in a dryer that we got. That's more weeds, right? That's reserved for, I think, onions and garlic and stuff's gonna come in here that we don't have yet. And then over here we have, looks like more flowers. What is that?
Yeah, flowers. Cosmos and zinnias.
Cosmos and zinnias. That's also for flowers because they look pretty. And then over here we have watermelon, our fruits. We have lettuce that we just fed the rabbits, excellent rabbit food. We have chamomile for Isabella's business and for tea. We have cucumbers with some flowers, I don't know why. Tomatoes with calendula again, no? Basil.
That's marigold.
Marigold for tomatoes and strawberries. So that's our garden. And back here you see 40 grow bags for our sweet potatoes. So that should give us, I don't know, maybe 120, 140 pounds of sweet potatoes to get us through the year. We like potatoes, well, sweet potatoes that is. Peeled, always peeled, and mostly fermented. And then out there, outside of the garden, you have turkeys, because that's primarily where we go. Here we have raspberry. That's a lawn of raspberries. Yeah, still very young plants, so they're not on them yet. But raspberries have always been super successful, even on our old properties. So we have high hopes that this is gonna grow into massive raspberry bushes. And then here we have 2 elderberries. Elderberries is something that I grew up with. You can make elderberry syrup with the flowers, that is, with the white flowers. And then once I have the berries in fall, you can make elderberry syrup there as well. And that has medicinal purposes. It helps the immune system. There are actually a good amount of studies out there are showing the benefits of using elderberry for immune support. So we have those. They're also great bird food on the old property. All of our elderberry fruits, the birds ate, so nothing left for us. Alrighty, now that you've seen the garden, let's wrap it up. It's been a hell of a 6 months, I can tell you that. We put a lot of sweat and energy and also money into making this homestead what it is right now. It was a lot of fun, I can tell you that. A lot of hard work as well. And I'm super excited for what's to come, including the ribeye. I'm super excited for all of the things that are still on our roadmap as far as projects are concerned, new animals, making things smoother. But you know, that was it. It's May 2026. Everything is good. If you want to keep up with us, learn what else we have in the pipeline, what's coming down the pike, subscribe, stick around. And if you have any questions whatsoever based on what you have seen, what you have not seen, doesn't really matter, anything homesteading related, let us know in the comments. I read all of the comments and I reply to most of them. So stay tuned, stick around, and I will see you in the next video.